Welcome all to Old Bones Grimm Tales, formerly Sundays and Dragons. By now, well, for those that maybe watched the Listan campaign and not the Vemhara campaign, we have changed our name. Check out episode 7 of Listan to figure out why. Pretty much why, is we wanted to diversify ourselves, and we have. Grimbones is a very iconic character, and we wanted to tell stories that he's seen and been around. So today we are jumping back into the Vemhara campaign. In recent history in this campaign, the 4 players, well, the 2 brothers, Rannar and Zorka, you submitted a name to the Voices of Crow, to your handler, Chance, that of Jor Salirian. You guys went to his estate. You assassinated him. And you came into 100,000 gold. Something that has never happened in any of our campaigns. No vast amount of treasure has ever been handed to such experienced players, and you guys did well. Talked to Grimbones, you upgraded your equipment, but what was most interesting is you bought an old warehouse and turned it into the 9 Lives Den. But that came with a cost per se, as you guys are now aligned or friends or talking to many different influential and important people amid the city. Also, your girlfriend moved in.
Yep.
Yep. And she wants to help out, which is something we may get to. But where we are currently, you spoke with Chance briefly, and upon the end of that conversation, Chance told you that maybe you should check in on Grimbones, and you did. You found him distraught, even more distraught than usual, yelling for Rebecca, his giant pet spider. All of his spiders, including your own, were all gone. The floor was ripped up. A sewer cover moved. The spiders gone into the deep sewers of Holland, and you went after them. You found some interesting things along the way. A pristine door that led you to, apparently, a mind flayer named Thadrenek. He's apparently an insurance salesman.
I like him.
You guys didn't speak with him for very long, but he kind of threw you a bone, per se. Just a random job, you know, maybe you could help out, maybe you won't. Who knows, we'll have to see. But you pressed on and you found some kobolds in distress, 2, precisely. Rami and his grandfather Ewan. You dug deeper into the sewers and eventually you found Rebecca. And you struck an accord with a semi-sentient, not-so-smart giant spider queen amid the sewers. The Voices of Crow, whenever they dispose of bodies from assassinations, that maybe they would just throw them down in the sewers and let Rebecca feed. But you started hearing these words, these tales, these things about a gray man. And in talking to Rami and his grandfather, they agreed to take you to him. You were led deep below the sewers of Holland into what can only be known as the Underdark. You found a group, very large group, a hold-up spot, per se, of kobolds that were being rescued from their indentured servitude by this gray man, this giant of a man. He seems to have a power about him. He seems to be able to listen to the whispers on the wind. You guys conversed a fair bit, and he asked you to stay, at least for the night, so he could garner your true alliances to make sure that you wouldn't tell anyone of this place. And where we ended, we were allowing you guys, I was allowing you guys to ask the gray man questions. And as he lifted up and listened to a whisper on the wind, that's where we ended, and that is where we're picking up. In this massive chamber, there's lights in the walls, the deep ley lines that are untouched in Holland, that are not a part of the light grid, one of the last untouched ley line foundations that there is in Vemhara. So I ask you, players, as you look up toward the gray man, what would you like to do?
I want to ask a question.
The gray man looked up, and he answered you, sort of, Kalypso. But as he turns his head back down, he takes a seat on the ground before you. Please sit. And you all do. There are fires being stoked. You can smell food. There are children kobolds running around. There still are some of the stronger in that patchwork leather armor that seem wary of you, scared. Apparently everyone's heard of the voices of Crow, especially down here. Not a lot of people trust them, especially not the indentured servants of the kobolds. Speak your questions. The gray man looks to each of you in turn.
Who's going first?
Jamfyr, you had one?
Who was the group that killed my sister? Do you have names? Do you know who?
The gray man leans forward toward you, looking you up and down. What is the name of your sister?
My sister. She didn't really have a name.
Yes, she did.
She did. It won't load. I'm gonna call her
It was Eleonora.
Eleonora. Okay.
I know your backstory more than you, it seems.
It's not loading.
The gray man, it's okay, looks you up and down, and he asks your sister's name, but you hesitate. And he reaches back up, listening to the wind that seems to be picking up in the chamber. Eleonora. She has passed on. Why do you seek the name of those that hurt her?
They killed my sister. They took her sooner than she was needed.
Is there anyone that would mean your family harm?
There is always a possibility of them. They've already done so.
Do you have any suspicions
They are a group,
that they are?
and they have stolen.
You come from a place that holds the last of the strong in Vemhara. A place where warriors still roam the lands. A place where I come from. They are a threat. And your family line remains a threat, Mrs. Fear. You know of the group. They are of this city.
Do you have a name? Do you know who the boys were?
Do you really want to know?
Yes.
The gray man looks toward you, Zorka, Rannar, and Kalypso. Sleep. And you all fade to slumber.
Oh,
Oh,
God damn
it's
it.
And he stands. Come with me. And he begins to walk. Boom. Boom.
I'm following.
He starts to take you around, and he's exchanging pleasantries with many of the kobolds, but eventually he goes to a set of 4 that are around healers, it seems. They're familiar. They were the ones that you escorted out of the city. They are doing well, Fear. And because you did me such a service, I will tell you, but it will cause strife between you and your current goals if you stay with your companions.
Was it the crow?
It was not a crow.
Good.
It was a brand.
What does that mean?
One of the brands of preservation
Top tier crow.
gave the order. The one that they contracted to do so has deep ties throughout Vemhara. A man with 3 eyes.
Oh no. Oh no.
Take that information as you will, but I want to show you something as you will be staying here this evening. And he starts to take you further into the chamber, eventually to these double set doors of stone, about the size of him. The goddess lurks beyond these walls, beyond these doors, and you see these thick inlaid chains between the doors, the giant handles, about the size of his hands. While you are here, you will not open this door, for the goddess will come. Said, understood.
Yep.
I feel as though you are strong enough, but I know not of the others.
I will make sure they won't open your door. Can I ask you one more question?
Yes, you can.
Did the man with 3 eyes order the kill? Or did his people do the kill without his consent?
The man with 3 eyes sees much in Vemhara and has agents throughout the continent. A member of the Brands of Preservation, a high-ranking member, ordered the kill to be done, but the Brands of Preservation or the Voices of Crow, their influence does not reach that far. So they hired the 3-eyed man. And under his order, your sister was killed because she carried something that is passed between your family line. And it was a mistake. Because not in her heart was it, but in yours. So be safe, Fear. And take with this knowledge, take it however you want. You may go wake your friends. They might be hungry. And he goes boom, boom, walking off. Eventually going to this stone, not really a throne, but a kind of carved out piece in the rock where he can rest. And he sits down. What do you do? Fear?
I'm gonna go wake up.
So you go back to your group. You 3 are coming to at this point. You feel very rested, but very hungry. And at the same time, a little tired. It's really weird.
I'm awake. I'm hungry. I know I'm tired again.
There is food ready.
There is some of the 4 kobolds that you rescued are actually up, and they're bringing a small platter of food over. It's nothing special. Kind of like sautéed mushrooms, onions, potatoes, roots of a kind.
Thank you, kobolds.
Aren't they so nice?
I don't know what your names are, so you have to forgive me. As I'm like half sleepily
And
eating
then
a
just
potato.
gnawing on something.
I'm just gonna start shaking a whole bunch of people's hands.
You go around and you start making nice with the mini kobolds.
I am proud of her. She has become so much more social.
Young Rami actually takes you by the arm and he starts introducing you to. It's a barrage. You know, this person, this person, this person. He's pointing everybody out. It's
like
hard
that
to.
one- Is
that
It's
my
hard
best
to
friend?
keep names.
That
Rami was the
Animaniacs
young boy
song.
that you saved.
Canada has a
Exactly.
Remy.
Rami. So.
Yep. Fuck, I'm tired.
So in the past 24 hours, we've opened a bar. helped find Rebecca, bargain with a spider, and now we're down here.
I feel like this is becoming the norm.
I guess it is. What is
I mean,
happening?
consider what we did a few weeks ago.
I pull out a parchment paper and be like, sorry, I'm late. I'll be home soon. Just shut it.
Who you sending it to?
You know.
I gave him the book with the.
Yeah.
I know. I was seeing if you remembered her name. Who you sending it to?
Isabella.
Thank you. Or Izzy, whatever you want to call her.
Izzy. Isabel.
We going with Izzy now?
Sure.
Two different characters, two different backstories. Mine are kind of similar, and I'm like, what did I name her?
I just like messing with them. So you guys eat. You have been. It's not that you were. I mean, you were told, but you do feel that you should stay at least the night.
Yeah.
Though you don't really have a. You don't have a perception of the time of day. But you do know that it's not your time to leave yet. That grip on your heart is still there. That despair. That feeling that if you were to go against the order of your heart, that it would be ripped from you.
Jamfyr.
Yep.
Where did the gray man go?
You can see him looking about. He's just over in the corner, just kind of taking in the herd, essentially looking over
I'm
them.
gonna point.
I'll walk on over to him.
And he leans down as you get closer. Yes.
I do have one more question.
Feel free.
I don't know if you know the answer, but in the river, I was bound, gagged, and drowning. And I saw nothing but darkness. And in that darkness came a bright and vibrant light, and all of a sudden I was back on the shore.
Are you sure it was a light?
Very, very bright.
And your question?
Do you know what the light was?
I may. It comes down to whether you want to know. Do you want to know?
Something happened to me, and I don't fully understand exactly what it was. If it changed me, changed who I am, yeah. I want to know who I am.
You are Kalypso, the Ashen thing. Reborn anew.
Okay.
You seek deeper answers from me.
I don't know if I do or not. I had an inkling about that was it. I just didn't know who did it.
I think that if you ponder the light and can see through it, that you may see a glimmer of what was and why you are what you are now. But I don't think that you are strong enough yet. But soon.
Okay. And then I bow and thank him and walk away.
He bows.
Well, Zorka, I guess if we're all gonna be asking questions, let's go ahead and ask ours.
Sounds good.
You guys go walking over. Such a chatty bunch this evening. More questions for the gray man.
It's evening.
That it is.
Fuck.
I let y'all sleep.
Let y'all sleep.
So, does one answer count for both of us, or do we each get one answer or one question?
Ask. And you will see.
Fair enough. Oh, sorry.
Just moving a little bit closer to you. Ask your questions, young clearing bloods.
Well, we want to ask. I've got one in mind, but I'll let you answer first.
Okay. So, when our mother died, the police said it was a drug overdose. Is that what really happened, or was there something else involved?
It was the toxins in her system that killed her. But what are you really asking?
I guess what led her to that point.
A well-guided hand led her to that point.
There's someone that this whisper on the wind said he knew some information about, and I just want to know if it's true.
Yeah?
Turns out our dear old Pops is alive and well. According to the whisper on the wind.
What do you know of the whisper?
I know that he knows something that we don't. And it bugs me a little, to be honest.
You want to know if your father is alive.
Yes.
In a sense, he is. In a sense. I am no god. I can just feel the world around me. And if you're asking if Alexander's presence still walks these lands, then yes, your father is alive.
That's all I need to hear. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rest now. You feel compelled to rest?
I'm already groggy. Why is this?
Indeed. So, what are we doing, guys?
To sleep. Well, back to sleep.
I'm just
You
cleaning
guys-
my armaments.
Okay. You begin to clean. Okay. Is everybody going to rest? Is that the idea?
Yeah.
So, after being tirelessly ran around fear, meeting everyone, you come back to the small fire and you eat some food. Small rag-like, called a bedroll. It's more like just rags and rag blankets are set aside for you all. You three begin to find your rest. You're cleaning your arms and armaments. So, fighting off the best you can the need to sleep, you begin to clean. The rest of you are overtaken by the darkness and you find peace. Rannar, eventually, as you set one piece methodically to the side after the other, you begin to fall asleep. But it's shallow. Roll for me a wisdom saving throw.
A 7, but I'm going to go ahead and replace that roll with a 19.
With a 19. In this shallow sleep, you keep a hair trigger on your self-awareness, as one can never be so trustworthy in a new place. But sleep does caress your tired body and mind from the day's events. However, as the norm in your dreams kind of hit home, that of pitch wall, simpler times, your father, mother, and your siblings, those dreams, though bitter, come swiftly to your mind. But you awake where you fell asleep, hundreds of still kobolds about you, and your allies' chests rising and falling deep in their slumber. However, You have keen senses. You can make out muttered whispers on the wind in this chamber.
Roll a perception check to try and hear him.
If you would like, yes.
Yes, I do. That is a 17.
17. The whispers begin to grow louder as you take footsteps forward, trying to hear, and much less actual words, but laughter. And it grows louder as you keep going forward, but eventually the noise kind of comes to you, but behind you, and as you turn, you stop in your tracks, as what you're looking at now is a hole in the side of the earth before you. And it's familiar, as it's the entrance to the Zahara family coal mine. You sway around, but you are no longer in the cavern of kobolds. There is no allies, there is no gray man. You're on the surface, on the outskirts of Pitchwall, and your kin begin walking out from the long day's work they have just had. You and Zorka greeting them with wide smiles, as tomorrow is Simon's birthday. And that means Father will not be working that day. Zorka appears as his child self, running up, waiting for Alexander to come walking out of the mines, but you stand in your garb, an adult, looking very much like your father who comes walking out, though dirty, but much so looking like yourself. He hugs your brother, smiling, but he turns to you. My son, you have grown. And he comes walking up toward you, Rannar, and he wraps you in a hug.
The fuck is this?
Did you learn that language from your mother? Because it sure wasn't me. As he kind of pushes you to an arm's length.
What is this shit? 1 minute I'm in a fucking mine filled with a giant and a bunch of kobolds. Next thing you know, I'm reliving family history, yet you can see me in my full garb.
Are you upset to see me, son?
Not upset to see you. Uneasy. That's for sure. Are you really my father?
Do I look like your father?
If there's anything I've learned as my time as a crow, people may look. But looking's a whole different story.
I know you know I'm alive, son. In a sense. As it was foretold to you. Is that not enough?
You'll have to forgive me. It's been a crazy couple of weeks. But since we're in some sort of reality, can we go somewhere for a drink, I guess?
If you want. And he starts walking. How about the Sooty Canary?
Sooty Canary sounds fine.
And he begins to walk. Do you follow?
Yeah.
And your siblings are amid the group. But eventually they split off heading home to get cleaned up. But you and your father, as I said, very much two of a kind, though he's much more ruddy and hard-worked. From the day's work, you begin to walk down the muddy streets toward the Sooty Canary.
So, I guess I have a few questions, if you don't mind.
Ask.
Where the hell did you go?
We
And
were
why?
taken. You know why. A deadly disease, they said, right?
Right.
A disease it was. More of a conspiracy, however. We were sick. but not deathly so. And I'm sorry that I wasn't strong enough to save the others and find my way back to you in time. And he looks you up and down before this. How's Melvin?
Haven't heard from him in quite a while.
Your brother?
He's doing mighty well. He's got himself a lass. Although with this line of work, I fear for her safety. I worry about him.
I worry of you both. Are you going to find me?
Yes.
Do you want to find me?
Hard-hitting questions. I'm torn, to be honest.
Why?
I've been so fueled by revenge. Trust me, nothing pleases me more. Nothing pleases me more than... What's the word I'm looking for? Nothing would please me more than putting a bullet in Zahara's head and making sure he and the rest of his fucking filth never walked over this earth again.
As you get heated and say that, you're walking down the alleyway, and he turns to you, arm on your shoulder, and presses you up against a nearby wall. And that, my son, is what will lead you to where I am. And he pushes you off and continues walking. Anger. Is that how you want to be with your life? Let it envelop you then.
That is why I'm split. I've met these wonderful new people. Sure, what we do is dirty.
Dirty. You take out a godchild's trash on the daily. Do you like it?
At times. Knowing what they did. Knowing they got their just desserts.
Those like Zahara, you mean? Decrepit pieces of shite that scatter about the continent. You at the godchild's behest, at the voices of Crow's behest, eliminate those that are just deserving, is what you're saying.
Right. Plus, me and Zorka have started a bar.
That you have. And all through anger. Proud of you, son. You don't know whether to take that as a sarcastic remark or a meaningful one. But you approach the sooty canary. The double doors that he goes up and presses into. And as they open for a brief second, you can see the patrons and you can see your mother within.
This was like, yeah. So I take a look at her and go, I miss this sometimes. Seeing our mom smile.
And as you say that, as you're walking up onto the porch, and he's stepped in, he turns. Would you like to see her again? One last time. You won't be able to speak to her, but you can see her, my son.
I'll take a gander.
You go in.
Yeah.
He reaches out his hand towards you, gesturing, so the door's shut. Do you go in?
Yeah.
You press through. You push through the door and walk back into reality. But you stare into darkness. As your eyes adjust quickly, you can make out a smiling feminine face translucent in the distance of the long, dark stone passage that you're staring down. You stand beyond a set of stone doors with large circular handles, broken chain dangling from them, and as you look down and feel the heaviness in your hands, you see the broken lock.
And I wouldn't have stopped that.
Shit.
Rock's gonna get you now.
I'm gonna die.
Darn it. Every time.
So you're standing there.
Wyler, we just got a bar.
You see the ghostly face smiling. And for a second, you see your father's face. But then it disappears. White ghostly lights begin to grow brightly, coming out of the rock and swirling these creatures of the dark. They come passing by you, fluttering into the chamber. You immediately start hearing cries of pain as these creatures start grabbing kobolds, lifting them up, their forms turning to husks, and then dropping onto the ground. The gray man, you hear him stand up and scream, "No!" As the rest of you hear that, and you all awake, seeing these lights around the chamber, creatures everywhere, people dying. What do you guys do?
I guess I should never sleep again.
I guess I can't sleep. Yeah, I guess I can't sleep either.
You're awake. You did this.
Oh yeah, I was awake.
What do you guys do? You're standing there, the lock in your hands, watching the carnage. The gray man is currently running, and you hear his voice, but it's not coming with words, but blue energy that caresses around his form as he is combating, pushing back with magical force on
I'm
these
slamming the
creatures
doors.
as they're attacking him furiously.
I'm gonna
Closing
go
the
help the
doors.
gray man.
I'm gonna try and close the door.
So you start grabbing, trying to pull the door closed, and it does start slowly moving. The cries in your mind. Rest of you, what are you guys doing?
I'm helping getting that closed.
You start running toward the gray man, Calypso.
Mm-hmm.
You take off, running toward the gray man. Several of these creatures start to come down, noticing you traversing. And as you're watching your footsteps, as you look down, they were dark for a moment in the darkness, but they begin to light as hands start coming up, trying to grab your legs. Give me a dex save.
Oh shit. Unnatural.
You start to break free, ripping. They're more corporeal than what they seem, and you are ripping through them as they begin to start strategizing a little bit better as multiples of them kind of come floating up into your path. What are you doing?
Closing the door.
You running over to the door? Okay, so you start running over to the door. You see Rannar trying to close it. Zorka, what are you doing? You're running with him?
Yeah.
So you take off, going after him, going toward the gray man. With that, let's go ahead and roll some initiative. Rannar?
I got a 19.
Zorka.
22.
Zorka. Calypso.
6.
Nice.
I just had your hands
And
grabbing at me,
fear.
so whatever.
10.
All right. Let's get on to a little bit better music there. All right, so Zorka. You start taking off toward Kalypso. But kobolds come flying before you. You take a step back, stopping for a moment. And then several of these creatures start to come towards you. What would you like to do?
How many?
Several. It's hard to put a count on them because there's some that are just like it's the head and a spine and part of an arm.
Yeah.
Some are just arms, some are just legs. It's different pieces of bodies of these decayed apparitions that are all about you. They seem to come together in singular forces, but it's hard to put a number because there are probably dozens and dozens everywhere, all in your frame of view. But right before you, if you wanted to put a number on it, there's probably a good 6 in front of you.
Okay, so we're not fighting these guys.
What did you do? Our cobards.
Okay, so how far away am I from the door?
Cobalt.
You started taking off toward the gray man.
Yeah.
In kind of it would have been the northeast, right? Mm-hmm. To the far east of your current position is your brother, probably a couple 100 feet away.
All right, fuck this. I'm gonna go join my brother and
You take off towards your brother.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that going to be your turn?
Mm-hmm.
As you go running by these creatures all about you, I want you to go ahead and roll for me a wisdom save.
It's not bad. 15.
15. With a 15, a deep, just fear grips you. But your brother's in danger. So you continue on. All right? All right, Rannar.
I'm pushing the door.
You're pushing the door. So you're using your turn to inch it closer to being closed. All right. There's none of these creatures that seem to be bothering you currently. And you hear these feminine chuckles from beyond down that tunnel. And you hear a, "Come to me." What do you do?
I go, fuck you, and I'm closing the door.
Go ahead and roll for me a wisdom save.
Nine.
Deep fear grips your heart. And looking into the chamber of the death, the kobolds flying about, the form of Rami over his dead grandfather, it hurts. And you feel like running away from them. Unfortunately, with a 9,
Yeah.
you turn and use your full movement speed and start running down the tunnel. You see this. All right? So, Mr. Kalypso, the creatures that were swirling about your form, they're reaching out, trying to claw at you. Go ahead and roll for me a Constitution saving throw.
That's not my strong suit.
Feel better, man.
15.
15. So as they start to pull through you, flying through your body, it's a pain unlike any that you have ever felt, and you take 10 psychic damage. It's just your ears are ringing. You feel like your eyes are going to explode. It's very painful every time that they run through you. Where were you positioned again, Fear?
She ran to the door, didn't
You
she?
were running toward the
I'm
door?
running towards the
And
door.
so is he. As you start running toward the door, similar to him, hands start coming up out of the surface trying to grab you, but with your strength you are pushing through, but multiple of them are trying to buffet your advance. I need a Constitution saving throw.
Oh, God. Okay, 18 plus 7.
Yeah, okay, so you pass. Unfortunately, you still do take 10 psychic damage. But I think you're resistant to that.
Yeah, she is.
I am.
Yep, you are. So you take 5. It's almost because you're attuned to psychic energy. They're trying to rip into your mind, and they're trying to find your fears and turn them against you. But you're like, fuck you guys. This isn't my first rodeo.
Not happening, dog.
Zorka. Running.
Yes.
Creatures all about you. You hear a chuckling from toward your brother. And as he's running, you can see the outstretched arms of your mother as a beacon of light in that tunnel. And you do hear a, "Come to me, son." I need a wisdom saving throw.
9.
The 9 bros.
9 bros.
The same thing. The death in this chamber. The uncertainty of the road that you have led. This is not where you want to be, and your speed quickens as you run toward your brother and your mother. Unfortunately, that's your turn. All right, Fear. What do you do?
Are they through the door?
He is. There is a darkness that he has just walked into, and you can no longer see him. But he's running. And what's interesting while watching Zorka, the creatures seem to be aiding him in his fleeing.
I'm going to use my mind ability and say, I am not your mother. Turn around. And then...
You didn't hear that.
Yeah, you can't hear.
You didn't
Oh.
hear that. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to say, turn around.
To Zorka?
Yes.
Okay.
Turn around. Your life is at stake.
Okay.
And I'm going to start
Go ahead
pushing
and roll.
this door.
Go ahead and roll for me a perception as you make your way closer to the door.
Okay, so I got a 17.
Okay. It's going to be considered a pass for a check that's upcoming. But you,
Bye.
I would say because you were at camp, and Zorka, what's your movement speed on all fours, man?
Like 40 feet.
And what's your full movement speed?
My full movement
Yes.
speed is going to be 30.
So with that, he has gotten farther than you, so you haven't quite made it to the door yet, as it was about 200 feet away. You, by the way, your movement speed has been tripled. You're going really fast.
Oh
the
my
creatures are
God.
actually, your feet are no longer touching the ground. You are just bounding leaps and bounds ahead. But, Mrs. Fear, you do notice that the gray man seems to be doing a fair job at pushing back the blight that is upon him. So you talk to him, you run. Do you want to use your action to dash, to try and keep a little bit of pace, trying to get to that door? Okay.
Yes.
Calypso, you are heading toward the gray man. You see him pushing back the onslaught. What would you like to do?
Well, I'm already almost there. I might as well help him.
You do get close. You're within range of many of your ranged attacks.
I'm gonna go ahead and.
It's a singular force that's kind of coming into this large apparition creature with a drooping face, very ghoul-like. And it seems to be fighting him like fisticuffs, fighting against the gray man. But you notice that it's almost like he's singing at this thing, but you can't hear words. It's just a feeling.
I'm gonna cast a phantasmal force on the entity fighting him.
Okay. Is it a save on my part?
Yeah, it's an intelligence save of 14.
3. 6. So no.
I create a phantasmal object, creature, or other visible phenomenon, perceivable only by the target.
Okay.
Has no effect on undead or constructs.
Yeah. For flare, a creature, does it only appear to the creature?
Only to the creature.
Okay. So, I can't really explain what it sees. But for a moment, it does falter, but it continues its onslaught on the gray man.
He does take 1d6 psychic
Yep,
damage.
you can go ahead and do that, though. For sure.
2.
I had an ability for being frightened I completely forgot about.
You're not frightened. Well, okay, so I explained it as frightened, but you're... it's more mind magic. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's showing itself as fear. So sure, if you are immune to fear, it wouldn't have manifested as fear, but regret and a feeling of unaccomplishment, like you have let everyone down, and then seeing this figure that you can now see that looks like your mother, you want nothing more than to go to her. Okay?
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I was using the failed save as
Gotcha.
it was like fear. But no,
Yeah.
it's wisdom save, dog.
I'm gonna go
It's
ahead
mind
and
stuff.
inspire the gray man as well.
All right. That's interesting because his movements and the way that he's fighting, it's bard-like, but on like a whole nother level. So, what would you like to say to the gray man?
Kick his fucking ass!
And kind of a grim smile takes over his face. Is that going to be your turn?
That'll be it. I'm gonna stay here.
Zorka. A moment, you are very far away from this door, but in an instant, you are before it. You hear in your mind, stop. What exactly did you say?
I said, stop, do not run. This is your death, something along those lines.
Essentially,
Yeah.
it was don't do it, stop,
Yeah.
turn around, all that good stuff. Go ahead and roll for me another wisdom save. I'll give you advantage on this.
12.
12. All that you're hearing is another voice of a person that you've let down. And someone that you will let down. That's how you envision it. The best course of action for you right now is returning to your family. And your mother that you see down this tunnel. You slow, coming up off of your 4, just on 2 legs, and begin to walk slowly toward her. Currently, she is embracing your brother. All right, Rannar.
What about me?
It's as I said. You're embracing your mother. Is there anything that you would want to do or say? She, tears in her eyes, pulls you close as you seem to be stumbling over your words, not understanding the situation and what's going on and what to do because of what's happening with your mind. Come back to me. Just say that you'll come back to me and be with me forever. Just say you will.
You're dead.
I'm not dead. I'm very much alive, my son.
Insight check.
You currently believe this is your mother because of that failed save on the previous.
Oh,
It's like
gotcha.
a charm.
Gotcha.
When you said that damage earlier, I was like, necrotic. Damn,
I'll give you
psychic.
I'll give you a save or an insight check with disadvantage. What do you want?
I will take a save.
Go ahead. Wisdom save for your turn here.
A 12.
Didn't you just give a 12 too? Wow. That's the fail.
Twinsies.
You're embracing your mother. Behind
it.
you is nothing but light, but your brother has just come walking through, slowly walking up to you. She reaches out her other arm and pulls her 2 boys to her. Inside the chamber, as you are aiding the gray man, throwing cards, trying to save as many as you can, did you still want to go toward the door? What do you do?
Are there still things flying through the door?
No.
No?
No.
There's no reason to actually close it.
The thing is, are you still headed toward it? Let's start with that.
And you did see them run in the door.
They did go in the door. You're getting closer. Zorka has just stood up on his 2 legs and has started walking toward it. At this point, if you wanted to use your action to dash, that will dictate what you see. It's hard to see what he's walking
up to
toward
you.
from here. It's completely up to you. Whatever you want to do, just let me know.
She can see me and the gray man, right? That we're pretty much handling it.
Yeah.
They're doing a good job.
Yeah, the gray man's,
Then I
the
guess I'm gonna
energy that
save
they
my
are
friends.
weaving together, he is, in a way, throwing his cards and inspiring the gray man with his song. And they are uniting together in a force that is pushing back these creatures. And every time that some of them fell, more would show up. But at this point, the ones that dissipate, they're not being replaced. They're not being replenished.
I'm gonna run straight to that door.
As you
I'm gonna die.
you get pretty close. Yeah, within about 40 feet with your two double action or 2 action dashes over 2 turns.
Can I see them?
And what you see is this purple feminine figure standing about 15 feet tall. These long hands with these, it's not quite fingernails, but claws that are around the Tabaxi brothers around their torsos, pulling them close to her. She is beautiful in a way. But as you get within 40 feet, the doors close.
We are way too damn low level for this shit, Riley.
Welcome to a story-centric campaign.
Holy shit. Where are the damn rats in the cellar?
I didn't want to
I
die
want to
this
use
early.
my bonus action to speak to them, or use my action.
You can
or
try.
whatever.
As the doors are closing, sure. What do you do?
Am I within the doors? Is the door closing on me, or am I outside
You're 40
the door?
feet away.
So I'm outside the doors, inside the doors.
You're outside the doors. 40 feet away from the doors on the outside.
I'm kind of happy about that. I'm sorry,
You're not
guys.
very close, but if you wanted to try and say something, you can.
I'm going to try and say something to both. I'm gonna
You
say
can because
return
you
to
share
your
that
friends.
crow stuff. What do you say?
Return to your friends. Your friends need you. We are in danger.
Say it in your accent, and I'll give him a check.
Return to your friends. Your friends are in danger.
And as you say that, the doors close. Poof. That feminine figure, very beautiful, smiling all the while. You and the gray man, easily after the doors shut, fight off the remaining creatures. He immediately begins. You see tears running down his face. He starts running over to the dead kobolds, picking them up, almost like his children, into his chest, weeping openly, then falling down to his knees.
How many of them are there?
There were hundreds before, and you'd be lucky if there's 100 left at this point. It's mass casualties. Do you go to the door or what? Where do you go?
The door is closed. There's no one coming through. I'm gonna try and fight the things hurting the kobold.
They're gone.
They're all dead.
They're all gone.
Me and Gray Man, we got it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push
With their
that door. I'm
combined
gonna make sure
song.
that door does not open.
You go to
That
the
is like
door.
the worst anime ever. With our combined song, we defeated.
Oh God!
I'm standing next
Listen,
to the
I'm
door.
not ready to make a new character yet.
I didn't mean to go to such a sad song. I do apologize. Let me fix that. I apologize.
Oh man, I like it.
I'm so sorry. You go to the door. And you're just wanting to make sure it doesn't open?
Yeah, I want to make sure it doesn't open.
Okay. So
I
you're at
mean,
the door.
like,
You're holding it.
I'm.
But you get the idea that whatever that was, it got what it wanted. These doors probably aren't going to open. And just trying to test it, they're not even trying. You can't even open them. And you can't pull them anymore shut. Kalypso, you're just kind of awestruck and dazed, being awoken and looking around this field of dead. But on the other side of that door, a creature of some kind seems to have gathered its prey. I need wisdom saves from the brothers.
All right, Zorka, let's do this.
You guys got this.
15.
It's back. Shit. The music.
It fits the fucking mood. I keep trying to find different things, but I love this track so much. But anyway,
Son of a bitch. I'm not using this die today. Got an 8.
you stepped through and saw your mother, and you went to her and embraced her. And she reaches over to your ear. Please come home. Save me from him. Just say that you'll be with me again. The same to you as she reaches around, kissing your cheek. Rannar, please, just come home. Don't let him kill me. Please. Weeping. But Zorka, as she turns this time, you notice the deep, dark veins in her neck. The rotting flesh dripping from her bones. And you step back. And the form changes into this tall, purple-skinned feminine creature, claws into your brother's back.
We're in trouble.
What would Zorka do at this moment in time?
Oh.
Seeing this.
She's smiling fiendishly towards you. What do you do?
Leave my brother alone.
You pull back and you feel the release as she allows you to pull free from her grasp. But she's giving you the smile that says, I know that you've just broken my spell. And you say,
Leave my brother alone.
and she kind of flexes. And you're a smart individual. You're an assassin. You know vital parts. If she was to just twist her wrist just like right, it would be the end of Rannar.
What do you want from us?
Turns her head, looking at you quizzitively. She doesn't reply. She looks down at him. Over to you quizzitively. Reaches out her hand.
I go up there.
You take her hand.
Yeah.
She shakes her head. Pulls out from your brother. As weird as that sounds. Rannar, you collapse to the ground. She turns. Hand in hand. Begins to walk. You are of your mind currently.
Yep. And I'm with her, like holding hands with her.
Yes.
Okay, this is great. This is wonderful.
We fucked ourselves.
Royally.
Did you have Wyler write your backstory?
As a matter of fact, we did.
This is why you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Wyler!
It's always your backstories!
I didn't make you fail those saves.
I know.
Just don't have him make saves with,
What-
with his backstory anymore.
What do you do?
Fucking go along.
She's just walking. She's not speaking. Her claws are wrapped around yours. So you're walking down this tunnel, and she continues forth. Your brother's back, huddled on the ground. You don't know if he's unconscious, but he's unmoving. His chest is rising and falling. She begins to shrink down kind of to your size, and the claws turn into a feminine hand. She's purple-skinned. She is completely nude, long black hair, and she's just walking. Her hand pulls away from yours, but you feel compelled to continue to walk.
Where are you taking me?
Home.
Wonderful.
That was very noble of you.
Yeah, brotherly love and all that sort of thing.
Was it really, or do you just like a pretty woman? Do I remind you of her? Of Izzy?
Matter of fact, bit of both. Oh. How do you know about Izzy?
I've seen into your mind.
Fair enough.
So do I.
Face is a bit different. Personality is way different. Like, Izzy's a kind of sheltered. Doesn't talk.
You continue to walk, and the ley lines that you saw earlier, they're much more concentrated here, swirling about the chamber. And you walk until your feet hurt. She continues forward. Eventually, the chamber opens up. The tunnel opens up into a large chamber. And what you're looking at down probably a good mile or so ahead in this brightly lit chamber from the ley lines and the dancing lights that are red that are bouncing all around this large room is it can only be described as in your mind like an ancient temple. You ever been to Under the Mountain?
Can't say I haven't. Is it wonderful this time of year?
Always wonderful.
That's good to know.
Always. Yeah. She continues. She's just walking. You feel compelled to walk with her. Mm-hmm. Jump anytime you want. Yeah, you don't really know what's going on. You took her hand, and now you just feel compelled to follow.
How did you know what my mother looked like?
Really? And she boops you on the nose.
Mind thing again. How long have you been in my mind?
$25 minutes, maybe?
You work fast.
I do. I pride myself on such things.
So I'm ever gonna learn your name?
Do you want to learn my name?
I mean, I have no other choice to follow you, so sure.
I'm Velastara.
It's probably gonna die in 10 minutes anyway, so no big deal. No big deal, guys.
What the fuck do you want me to do? Is there anything I can do?
There's like 200 kobolds dead!
I know you're dealing with dead
Time
kobolds.
has passed.
Like I just had a claw in
Time
my
has
spine.
passed, and eventually, Rannar, you do awake, but with several burning pains coming from your backside.
It was from the voluptuous rod.
The pulsating rod.
The pulsating rod.
You hear the doors in front of you begin to creak open. The hands of the gray man there. It opens. You can see the hundreds of dead. The gray man and your two friends, Kalypso and Fear, standing there. They run to you.
Where's my brother?
I point down the hall.
You
There's
point.
not a hall,
You
there's a
point to a
door.
wall. Velastara has come, and she's gotten what she wanted. He turns, and he throws a fist into the closest door, shattering it to pieces. It was a mistake, you coming here. And he turns and he elbows the other door. Look at the dead. Look! And he goes walking off.
What the fuck?
Are my friends alive? Were they killed? I'm sad.
You and me both.
It's almost like that time Runt was taken by illithids.
Yeah.
And you also sacrificed yourself.
Yeah.
Like I sacrificed myself. He didn't take a hot minute in saying like, yep, you're dead now.
Yeah.
Do you three do anything? This is your time before I move back to him. If you guys want to do anything.
Help me
The gray
find-
man seems to be letting off steam. A lot of steam. Walking around and destroying things.
We've got to find.
I didn't even know this door existed, honestly.
You didn't.
What the fuck was behind it?
You're talking to them too.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was having a fucking dream, and then all of a sudden, I'm holding chains in my fucking hand. Now,
An echoing voice. The gray man has ceased his destruction and has just fallen to the ground, slumped over. The goddess has taken your brother. But you, Rannar, opened the door to his demise. You were too weak of mind. Too weak. Velastara has him, and she will not be undone.
Well, there has to be something we can do. I mean,
Walking up the steps into this temple, this pyramid under the mountain, she walks with you, giddy like a child. It's been a long time since I've had friends over. The last one was that gray man, and he was just so volatile. He wasn't really into me. You're like a cat. I
bit.
didn't think of that.
Yeah, a bit.
More than a bit.
Did the ears give away? What, the whiskers? What, the eyes? The eyes did it?
She walks up and she caresses the side of your face. Kitty, kitty. But man, where it counts. And then kind of presses you away. Continues to walk.
Can I pull up my notes?
Hmm?
Can I pull up the notebook? The note thing?
Sure.
Okay. Dear Izzy, something happened.
I have found a new love. Her name is Valis.
I'm writing this down.
You love her so much, and you cannot dare go back to such a disgusting feline of a woman like herself. Does that work? And you notice that you have written this.
God damn it, Brad.
You forgot the punctuation. Period.
Well, not even gonna die. I pissed off the woman that loves me. So,
Back in the other chamber, the gray man is now pacing, going to the dead, helping gather them together. He takes his hands over his face. I am sorry. You should not have come. But it was not your fault that you made it here. You must return to the surface now.
How can I get my brother back?
I don't know. The goddess had me once, and she let me free after many centuries. Vala's star is not to be trifled with. She is the goddess of Undermountain. I fear there's nothing you can do.
But is there something someone can do?
I don't think there's nothing we can do.
Not us, but someone?
Whose door do I need to kick down?
It's not a door
He
you
gives
need
you
to
a
kick
pitiful
down.
smile and points toward the wall. Beyond there. Lead you to him. But you're not powerful enough. And he takes a seat in that crevice in the wall. And just kind of leans his head up against his hand. My time is done. It's over.
What do you mean it's over?
He reaches his head up toward the air that seems to curl about the chamber. You have won. You may have it. He just says to no one in particular. And he begins to reach his hand up toward his face, into his mouth. And you start to hear ripping. Slowly, and then as blood starts to pour from his mouth, and he throws his tongue toward your guys' feet.
What are you doing?
It begins to shrivel up into the size of a human tongue, but dried.
This is what the gray man,
He starts to
Whisper.
meld into the stone, turning solid. The blood turning gray, his eyes going from a bright blue to black. And then they shut.
I'm gonna grab it.
You walk up and grab it. As you grab it, it's almost like someone punched you in the brain. That's the best way that I can put it. Just because you are very adept with psionics and mind magic in a way. And you guys have been telepathically communicating, that you pick it up. And after that moment of terror and pain, it subsides, and it's in your hand.
This is what that whisper wanted.
And you
Whisper
hear
wanted this.
on the wind, Mrs. Fear, the gray man's voice. Use it to get him back if you wish. Or leave this place and never return.
Okay. So, I'm gonna tell them this, but I'm gonna remind them that the whisper asked for this, which means the whisper could be hurt, and that we could be giving something very special away to someone very bad.
Role play that out for me. She essentially says that in not so many words.
Yes.
But role play that out for me, guys.
Go get my brother back. It's my fucking fault that he's there.
But if we give this away, this could be somebody very bad who has killed hundreds. Hundreds. And if we let her have what she wants, she will kill hundreds more. And she let him go. There is always a possibility she will let him go.
How do we even know she'll let him go when you give it to him? We saw the power.
One for
She could-
hundreds.
Well, the point is, you give it to her. One, she becomes more powerful. Two, she was almost powerful enough to defeat that behemoth that just turned to stone.
She could kill us all if we give her this.
And if
item.
she just has the inkling to, she'll kill us when we go in there and take the tongue.
I don't think we should give it to her. We are not powerful enough for this.
She has your brother's soul, right?
We can always come back when we have more abilities.
Rannar and Kalypso, the words that are hitting your ears from Fear seem very rational. Everything that she says, you're thinking about it more. Usually you would, use your intellect to think about such a situation, but everything that she says and is suggesting seems like it's right.
Can I hold that?
Mine. It's mine. It's mine.
Come on,
When
man.
she says it's mine,
It's mine.
it's hers.
All right, you
And
I
you
toss my gun down and I just walk away.
You just toss it down into the dirt and you begin walking away. And with that, let's go ahead and take our first break. Everybody collect their thoughts, and we'll jump back into this craziness in just a moment.
You just got the fucking tongue of suggestion, is what you got. Cast